I had no idea what you said. So.
What is this going to keep? 79.
That's one of the few.
You want me to make it just?
Yeah. I just have a few cards. You look at it and
Just your cards?
no, I just have a few cards. So it's just a same.
He said, quit discharge.
Sure did. How's it going? Oh, I don't know. Leave it.
Yeah, we're 50. I'm getting big.
We're watching Mish versus Wick.
Mitch, which one?
Mish PP versus Wibberty.
Oh, who that?
Wibberty.
Well, that's like, that's the 802, right? That's spicy.
Mish is 7.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
that's sexy. No kid, I don't want to watch this one.
This one?
No, we don't want to watch us. We're terrible.
Yeah, I think they're good.
I don't want to watch this one.
Thinking about Dartmouth condo. I know we're at, but like, still thinking about it.
I'm sure you.
Don't you do it.
I'll do it.
I got my
I'll
hat
do
on.
it.
The account plan has an add-on to answer it out of principle.
Put it in the world first.
BC.
Well,
I'm going to watch AFF versus CSU Long Beach. That's a sexy face. That and this week, our chief Michigan game was kind of rough for me. Ain't gonna lie to you. Mathis, McCool, Flynn, and Nickel Cole. That's rough. That's rough for me, bro.
who's that?
Great. And that's like fatigue
Worse.
week. Mathis, I don't fuck about none of that shit.
It's came out of too. Like, if he was jumping up, we should.
Like Flynn,
They've been like two up there.
Flynn definitely is squishy. Vicar will keep kind of swing. That's kind of crazy. I wonder why they saved me.
John, I would save you any day of the week if I had to.
Especially if you died of aviation.
Man,
Well, yeah, it would have been practical, yeah.
if I died today, day two, it was looking like it wasn't too certain that I was gonna make it for a while.
The PRL almost killed you. They throw it.
It's in the winter season. Like I've been looking through their docs right now, like I keep seeing it. So I'll just have it ready.
Hey, Jerry, you want to cross streams and that, especially later.
Of course.
I'm still sword fight.
Nothing streams.
Yeah, no contacts. I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So y'all could just hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's standing at one together. It's like the dumbest way to bowl.
You're talking about bowling, man.
Love bowling. I hope the mic is on for the stream too. Bowling.
Bowling.
I don't think it is. Is it?
I don't think the mic is on.
No, it is.
Oh, is it?
Hey,
Hey! Oh, it is on.
cool.
Damn, they've been listening to our conversation. Are we live streaming? I don't think it's streaming yet. I think you gotta press a button.
It says live.
Does it say live?
That red box I've seen.
So you're talking about crossing streams?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting, guys. Think about that. That's hilarious.
That's in Dartmouth and their conversations. No, they don't have a stream thing.
They out there talking to each other. They're like,
They're just talking right across the street.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Every time I walk up, we get real quiet.
Yeah, I heard from like 3 or 4 things. He was like talking about the link, the link is to the optics.
Also, politics.
Some industry backlash, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it sounds like. Maybe they break sandbox. Maybe they break neighborhood sandbox.
Yeah, and also fun.
You know, really good. Let me try.
1,700 pages. That's not including the pictures.
It's also just like the fucking Mac related template always. Like the fact that your round reports document is like 4 times the size of mine.
Your round report document. I don't even open yours anymore. I don't even watch it. I don't like this shit. Always takes my shit ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like 4 times the size of mine.
Isn't it from
No, it's from the way that Mac handles cycles.
Yeah, it's like they just pack it on.
Yeah.
They add them on, and then it fills their shit up. It's taking 100 people a little bit. Though.
Yeah, mine's still cooking.
Shit, it's spinning. Yo.
Nate Grothy. Nate next one. Nate what? That's some drugs you're supposed to do.
Good shit.
Another really bad.
I already drank 2 today. Let you know. So. If I don't drink it, I'm not gonna make it.
I got all the one. And then more so as other Italian cups.
Down the fast one, like a fast mix. That shit about to be when they see when the fast it's been all day.
Yeah, that's about that. You probably would have wanted to feel that.
Yeah, it's
It's true. There's only like 3 cards. So you're gonna really slow down your left. You're about to need to.
so that's home. Hell is that?
It's a Devon notification.
Is that what happened?
Yes,
That is not what happened. There's no music anywhere.
We'll put Wonderwall in there.
Wonderwall? Yeah, honestly? No
You
shit.
know Wonderwall?
I know that song now.
Crazy.
I know that song now. Because
Yeah,
my,
you
young white students introduced me to it.
Did you not know Wonderwall before you?
No, I did not know what Wonderwall was. Same way y'all don't know some of my R&B music.
I know more of your music than you do my music.
You do know a lot of he's kind of eclectic. He likes a little bit too much Bruno Mars.
I just know a lot of Bruno Mars. It's to my sister.
I mean, it's good songs by all means.
Very short.
They're much more eclectic over here than y'all are. I'm not gonna lie. Everybody at Dartmouth just listens to a tremendous amount of Taylor Swift. Thinking of the wrong one, B. We in the right place, bro.
My bad. Good luck.
Word, nah, if it was only one sitting here, he'd be like, nah. There's a whole judge in this motherfucker. What you mean?
Whoever.
Yeah.
All right.
Get out of here. I'm ready to debate.
All right, I'm leaving now. Go fight one, put the ball in the hoop, don't fucking give him help.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Cool. Exciting.
I've avoided ending someone's career, and so I'm gonna take my win.
That's where to go. Let's see Wonderwall.
Yeah, I'm about to go listen to
That's
Wonderwall. I'm about to go listen to Wonderwall. Jealous?
Very. It's been in my head like all weekend.
I need some dirt off my arm.
What about that? When they played that remix to Wonderwall, you didn't like it?
It was like the whitest club remix of Wonderwall
It was
I've
like-
ever heard of.
No, it was
Am I
just like it was
wondering?
like in between like a bunch of Calvin Harris songs. It was like the beginning of Wonderwall, and then it stopped. And that was
Yeah, and then like like just random.
There was no way they could have made that song. Like,
Yes, you can.
Yeah, no, it's-
You-
you
you-
were surprised.
Did you hear what I just added to it? When it hit that?
Yeah, I was like, what was that?
Anything we could do. All right, fellas. Good luck. Trees. Good luck.
I never got the like automated thing, so I'm just sending it. But I just sent the one I see. Let me know when you all are good to go. And panels as well. Okay, we're good. All right, I'm not getting good. Panel all ready to go. Sweet.
Advantage 1 is regulation machine, human capability, convergence inspires, inevitable AI, regulation, KC 20, intelligence leader, regular Tennessee, and more diverse categories, robots, usual systems, evolve dramatically, 3 systems, strong advanced capabilities, and bodies, and harder, kill loose spot, on-strike, innovation, percent of investment, and investment, and evolve, human intelligence, where would it be human version from other human organization, ever under closer humans, and computers, and organizations, and enables, chemistry, chief, edge, computing more both within our actors, of the means, and was electron process, and emitters, and making, this vertical machine, and images, will even cover human robots, power wash, global value, production, physical robots, setting, equity, and the use of civil studies, and tracing, technical, robotic, flourishing, also, to regulate with a demand for universal definitions of cause regulations to be both under and over inclusive PC 26 earlier, so wasn't business confusion. What one is right, first which is even analysis this, what limits language, right, for center system, every class, evaluation, intelligence, we have to be, and no robot motion connection, division, every system to be on the months of capture regulators on industry of other issues, insurance, deposit, extras, with the versus definition for short, they long have definition pure data disappears from strong figures that are the more part of the definitions that simulators go with protocol and under whose system regulations possible over-inclusive regulations destroy innovation, corrupt 21 development, murder over-inclusive legislation, comply also support resource education, structure over-inclusive development, it was about activity, others which more use also supplies for the homes, industrial rights, and most useful population, listed it's a regulatory, under the regulatory, isolation, regulation, order over-inclusive and expenses to producing goods as well, just reading the vessels, regulated innovation has all items at risk of innovation because other countries growth innovation, progressive national development, we can stop by figures, regulation, innovation, regulation, structural laws, so the better conditions superintendent, as if facilities analysis and other fields are about deliberation, running and so we have capacity that I agree with security national resources focus on the most serious real assessment consequences civil rights based regulation. I'll say as existential up and down size point using singular a reversal proof of security by the Russian to commit issue for use of this economic makers must power to responsibility application responsibility security the way you and more value of the trade and control videos like first value and universal stable growth. There's really parts of the legal machines and the right social and the sugar of the red the right culture and I don't know children red reverse that protect relations is in the resident and who to I don't know who this is usual take under inclusive rights costs unregulated rollout for 21 but no one also remember how has you saw me I built more laws to take right the economy for the losses of the inclusive new interface you get everything under inclusive under losers under the new permit is under force of contribution coming to a lot of areas getting I don't know for the right thing this solution for lesser than you under the vision running your regular what I can tell myself in another question versus that versus the infrastructure technical federation for regulation criminals capitalists for banks and you look cyber only value limits also possible way to do form. I was like, I keep, I don't know, any places you like, because I have a cost of criminals, activities, hybrid, people who sometimes never comes to do meetings or other than your church things never comes to do cover other sanctions was many first of all we said it was not even back was love you know as a region cost me a bit and as a profession get protection is worth the first round of love and have it actually got the tax effect I don't think it was really public when we saw the actual life like personal real service videos for consultation reversing was specific attacking to I disagree with ranking says it was better because they was later we did some because multiple play others were also I feel that much go for space to film reverse all the city reach our work so I trust the distributing money also protect customers by the world many loves to attack I don't serve that house has lots of customers possible to trace this somebody from already tax us loss are you turn to right from 100 banks get managed margins are small yes 3 20 what's the Chris making sure your price goes 1 all just making sure your highlight I was spray I breaking some of these systems and QC from I never my much obviously never since I know how to when you're in the process of the short of a key never structure he raised more prices than make her down pressure making shots for cost extinction Belfield 23 class first process of the actual left cost is it possible that I will prospect all to never actually launch the voices I try to really listen to the give some like something by publishing word things to the extent is my words takes the class and every should see visual other to zero tracks over every national armies represent that solution is like turn class here reference for our community was in conditions to I don't know relative views as able to national normal has to different has to be covered couple side every short class you know game as cyber terror cost extinction dots 21 cyber yeah I can trust for doing I don't see that kind of always coming in launch to say the thing of give with under hack trust launch to do and right over yourself for some districts or world districts so you have a government as a government so for some of the solutions uploading much more or more so say about it lots of rushing class you under this you can go on with what the idea is has the person you gave for since also on the side of the data uploading that has been translated for the second for state for the SAD information for Twitter press reading I can see the medicine can have a the offer to struggle rather than tracks and isolation false like that I translated to the worst one for the ground terrorist activities upper colleagues on the message work having to functional legal capacity solve for responsibility similar to criminal responsibility well additional roles is first time that for the situation capacity to attribute just behavior and also related to behavior laws attribute responsibility for the victim country capacity over the extent they are here actively and emotional personal responsibility different views and very much actually attribute control with punishment requirement system will be held by overall basis for personal part of program resolution will have consequences versus responsibility possible and according to functionally if I was a person attribution process under requires what and person law for run laws of consumption for self-control fluency with new charges of story and action for idea function able sexual legal status constraining human options behavior back in 22 capacity correction has the new quality sometimes because I'm very sure you can go right to the heck there's other resources and laws of the conversation that you're doing determining processes and how about as sorry persist and then constellation basis detection bridges or technical decision determines the opposite specific concepts marginalizing all legal capacity or legal function regulation calculation of different law by those subject or purposes for providing the legal criteria what every operation that can be so honestly fast depending on logical characteristics and the details users and passwords that are part of the concrete interaction plus legal percentage action necessary on sufficient communication possible for economic action illegal other activities in case even or requires about stable like only when relation most conscious of personality indicated what occurs on this people lawyers is for shock will give you back with that with this is the person that probably post ideas thinking for other purposes not the human behind the functional criteria regulating without definition charting the legal act and the after cases when you don't think definition of litigations will what kind of processes and definition of the body is not a personal document that does not research for flowing law definition of let's say like that really become obsolete let's have for resource we have to produce a future like about us and really first on that law structure and that right was very let's say very was good or she regulated over the way to do what we can efficient over or inclusive focus on kind of concept of discrimination against and the like these things us really never focus on proper across the board about what I'm saying you know what I think was a good job of doing and we're criteria our process of sort of idea and we were so definition and that there was that form today that some of the rules were less obviously I think no persistent kind of what's that and so kind of rising considerations and rising density and mitigating visual pitfalls the United States best rights and duties to intelligent machines that meet respective functional criteria advantage two is governance rigid AI definitions cause jurisdictional conflict only functional capacity enables regulatory and public-private cooperation cases one of the problems and cognitive expertise is by traditional ways on organizations like the official roman created foundations across the nation like case matter because it's by the more about most purpose for creating production service models for good commercial results were real low biodiversity as it can find good over more effective regulation plans to things else and it also has to be undertaken under shared social collaboration with a very little version of work with part of the enable economy to oversee kind of to be such as Italian cover lose and every lose have to be with full plus to universal because the average is reading lots of definition of delivery some sort of opposition and compatibility with assets and to move exponentially faster so we want to regulate those topics doom tech startups with 19 or instruction real international and independent state regulation over the digital single market regulation of the internet mobile technology collaboration regulation better versus like from 6 to 8 many more TS activities that personal personal integration flexible and one of the languages for sort of companies that usually that expenses salary regulations for various companies as a time I work to be expensive strong market but when there's advantage coming policy say great selection nowadays I say again countries sort of access limited opportunities and most possible entire economy plus regional equality public money in order takes only for business and that already industry creative force to be invented and by super smart power and technical product leader much started reverse proximity people large and looking large collaboration reinforcement for hackers being closer to relying on the industry not thinkers for digital collaboration people legal business not vendor efficient and looking to their conversation respective to higher powers innovation place outside regionally, body class, domestic terrorism, lowers, 21 civil war, other terrorists are having places to show control of controls and body class relation, creating coefficient results of pathetic terrorism, force, body corruption, report, charge, like, I regionally putting domestic terrorism, target, destroy critical infrastructure, Kyle, 20 Somalia, a treasure bomb, George Texas, Saudi Arabia, and all the other countries, US modernization, using military, intervention, agenda, sector, homosexual, corruption, a big terrorist organized activity, has a real threat, first of all, energy, and turn on 100 with access to the and devastating by some types of leading capitalism, and access to the close habits, 100 capitalism, the broken effects, the drop hazard, drop close to the hazard, the real attack, causes disruption, triple extinction, pillar, control, 15 risk, certain visibility, critical nutrition, disruption, calling high level, one trade networks, strong business by globalization, well, governance, and active like escape, by other side, and a portion of additional social secondary friendship, collaboration, ingredients, and everything as per other magnetic system, class, social party, wars, competition, cultural, public collaboration, optimizes compliance, overcome governance, failure, self 21, climate governance, any regular persons, other than failures, and place with you, electric support, of course, control, social parts, keeping economy agencies, able with monitoring, and it goes in computer disability, problem solving, consistent problem solving, disability control, ready for most of the that are also for use for central police for us, actual federal versus self-centered problem that's certain large group practice each problem mitigate outward harms, and look at differences, inclusion, public interest, group, perhaps better for actions outside, and I'll go for visual understanding, economy, by making plus factor further, and adversary reality that depends on advice and product management, open to new ones, economy, socialized AI, self 21, unlike my secure place, media target, distribution, logically, so the form of the better that you can see how running away to go. I think I'll buy that by selling distinguished as using cross-version terms and we should have process agree about a forward to mitigation shortage across the production make more accountable citizens for development, understand what works with us, and practical relax social system analysis, extinction, bundle 23 posters, and then I've got a lot of education country, and this is real life insurance value, level, and seeking power, seeking increase it, influence, reducing energy, gain, under other national risk, common access, basic system, this is the global ecosystem of any aspect of service for risk as a benchmark complex interactions. The Bucknell card is marked at complex interactions. I need water, and then I'm good.
You good for cross-sections?
Yes.
I want to start with the plan. What are the functional criteria that intelligent machines would need to meet?
Austin can explain that more coherently than I can.
Casey, the last Casey card in the first advantage, kind of describes 6 categories of how functional criteria will be applied on a sectoral basis. These are the 6 A's: agenda, automaticity, autonomy, agency, ability, and anthropomorphization. Based on context, if AI meets the function of a human decision maker,
specific sectoral context, AI meets is deemed to meet that 6 criteria, they would receive which rights and duties?
The ones relevant for the context in which that determination is made.
And who makes these determinations?
A court.
Courts would make all these determinations. What AI regulation does that foster, and how is that distinct from the legal framework you just described?
Well, the status quo legal framework that the Casey evidence describes is one where different jurisdictions, as well as different agencies, adopt different definitions of what it means for something to be an artificial intelligence. Those don't have to exist along function, and the Casey evidence described those as being sort of inscribed with our tendency to anthropomorphize and lump diverse categories of different types of technology.
Definition of what it means.
No. Plan is explicitly not a uniform definition. Uniform definition is the status
functional
quo.
criteria. Those functional criteria have to be applied uniformly, no? Or what happens when 2 courts disagree over the interpretation of what like the 6 A's mean?
So basically this is kind of a difference between you're kind of conceptualizing it in a way of precedent, i.e. one court decides and that would shape how other courts decide, but instead this is every decision is a de novo and contextual one, whereby courts make individual determinations on context. If in that context AI meets the function of a decision maker or an actor.
But why is that critical regulation? Like why is that initial court determination critical to effective regulation of AI?
Well, our argument isn't about it necessarily being necessary to regulation of AI, rather about context-specific instances in where courts are able to make an effective determination about the function of AI in a way that allows for that specific instance of AI to be regulated. Because we've argued that regulation of AI is a concept that doesn't really exist and is one that the courts are mistaken in assuming is possible.
So how does that solve criminal AI use?
Well, our argument is about the ways in which criminals can mobilize AI, use AI that can either function as a human or not function as a human in a way that allows them to destroy banks and cyber terrorism. The plan allows for AI, allows for
why do regulations stop them?
Well, the plan allows for the effective allocation of liability because the Folds evidence indicates that when you determine AI based on function rather than the technology itself, it would enable courts to actually see whether or not the AI is responsible, the person's responsible, et cetera. Whereas in the status quo, regulation doesn't really care about that. And so it creates pervasive incentives for
regulation needs to care about the relative distribution of liability.
Sorry, a way to describe this, cleared up, Casey describes it as regulating acts, not actors. We do not care about what it is, we care about what it does.
Okay, that makes sense. What is the jurisdictional conflict that results in regional inequality?
Our Casey evidence describes both conflicts between different agencies and between different levels of government. It describes cities and states and federal definitions.
Conflicts result in inequality?
Because those conflicts stop startups from investing in certain regions that need that in order to be able to.
Okay, I will take a look at that. How much? 923.
It should be 7 minutes one pitch too.
Good. Oh, I'm good.
Good. Yeah. Judge is good.
Give me one sec. Okay, good.
Top guiding air across capacity, releases community maker across the time that goes beyond strict rule following AD 20 AI. The automation of the key. Definition restricts the rules, RPA needs. If the is not limited by rules, the capable of judgment based on extrapolation, assessment, any feature can AI perform. Audition maker violation of the plan is the best rights influence on AI, but extra limits or interpretation justifies. Testing rates in any computer electronic system which roads clash, capitalism, AI, person endorse the hierarchy of human capital greed, no 20 legal person's rights, one of the corporation, we have to be government, legal rights to extend non-human use, and any other random capital rights, operation classification, negative person includes sex, and then that detainees, person that artificial operates, exclusion, hyperization, financialized information capital, possesses racist, authoritarianism, social-ecological crisis, Harris, we are physical inequality, extractive finance, raising for social reproduction, security fact, no life is also the pandemic, extension, climate races, challenge governance, work academic centralization, driving inequality, civil justice time, logistics during the free trade, we're going to start the extent of the services for human flourishing, white authoritarianism, the U.S. as a white nationalism supported, no base on the debate, protect regular fascism, energy crisis, and stagflation can be traced to social design, economic relation, climate change, reduce cascading crisis, market rivers, it's pro flourishing and delegate resources, existing distribution or treaty, as usual based on public law, depend on the analyzation of efficient markets, alternative should socialize data, infrastructure, most of Argentina, digital feedback, construction, good flex, problems that facilitate deliberation, democratic position can be moved to problem solving, as structured solve competition, as discovered in planning, the computing and coordination infrastructure available to all should yield solution without offloading adaptation costs on decisions or no restrictions to public institutions always inferior to private ones, carriers, funding AI, autism, giant firms, placing kind of billion and ethical capacity is not efficient, democratizing access to information infrastructure, results in the powerless center of the market, that information more like that, we ensure coordination, solve tasks, climate change, capital, community knowledge, competition, ability to manufacture, ignored by security, the selective funding think tanks, regulate counterpoint, justice, establish an agency with responsibility for regulating artificial intelligence, the agency should issue rules respective, the functional criteria along with the requirement that AI systems always indicate the identity of their creators, owners, and controllers and owners, coding and human responsibility to solve Pascal 20 AI, result in the creators, controllers, and owners, we should keep this mindfully autonomous AI, creators should build a construction of the code, definition, outcomes, regulatory responsibility, that may involve hard coding, audit, and the races, and such will not regulate post-structural influence of gene editing to decide the planet, the ask presidents will over the codified legal protections for transgenic humans, Dvorsky 71, the chief sophistication will exclude them from laws and arbitrary right biological beings, which would express exception rules creating AI rights, which the president robot rights can be protected, the cyborg transgenic humans, the rubies that have the brains of leadership communities, widespread legalized gene editing causing extinction, root 22, where like child extinction causes discovery of geners, equal climate change, equal health, pandemic, artificial intelligence, and what's human, it's been fuel extinction, transhumanism, out of the legal genius, human gene, what's fundamental unity of all our species, and no editing, the detection, replacement, also insertion of new gene thing, will affect human evolution, transgenic can be used for coding superior abilities, can lead to evolutionary post-human speculation large, the section of the population not be willing to may have disruptive consequences, increasing the water new device with it, there will be violence action with one annihilate the other, the ultimate is a substitution of human existence, third reflection is the climate problem, most humans may have diverse conception of well-being, post-humans may seek their own extinction, and technology can lead to chronic dissatisfaction, the agency will account by the United States should designate intelligent machines that be respective functional criteria as an agent capable of legally modifying the rights or duties of one or more human principles, excuse and solve damages, causality, and stabilize the expectation for counterparties, assume 18, identifying the duties of that an owner would use as if a robot system enables a robot to be agent without legal person to granting rights, less out of legal person would be terrible, we should give the new hypothesis granting person robots may say assets, and this be purely de facto owners can notify the juror, rights and obligations of agents without any physical legal rights of humans in the case of beasts robots, not purely de facto not be instructed for criticism whether robot itself interacts purely with the fact that the sort of alcohol. First, obligation instruction should be the Christ side autonomy, true sense. The AFF causes liability show precise tailoring of agency enables a mix of a human and algorithmic control. Trigger 18 agents are turning under those rules. Learning to counteract them, business factors, unacceptable gains, responsibility of the agent violates the contract liability rules, economic liability. Truly the human principle commits a breach of contract law responsibility and rights along with the document results on responding with judicial conceptual instruments of the law reacts only with conceptual conceptual means leaves gaps and distributed collectively treat the false instead of operating to produce programs full legal process what discuss the answer demands or negotiating reality is not always the interest of the human organization the principal agent relationship in which the agent is made of autonomous full legal which can only be permanent if they were given ownership of the strength and towards human computer association tends to honor the contribution of liability potential legal status to be precisely assumed having a functional point of view. The regulatory experimentation counted by the United States should treat regulatory sandboxes in which intelligent machines are initially deregulated subject private parties engaging in such sandboxes as data collection requirements determine the extent to which such entities actions align with respect to functional criteria and interly rise the regulation of conduct with sandboxes with the aim of encouraging such entities engaged in such conduct prohibit the deployment of autonomous artificial intelligence lacking legal comprehension reasoning skills the appropriate use sophistication possible use of sandbox to solve and empower experimentation toleration we grant error with most of the policy which between individuals then counterparties and be like not only that as well as risks and premiums we can tackle everyone through experimentation by creating such results for AI these communities that we can look to bigger data speed is large scale pilot we should follow Japanese thinking and special results for robotics and then the US flexibility and then we're going to consider experimentation allows us to tackle in a rational way requiring AI to be trained with legal requirements solves the A20 and the two law enforcement capture costs of human law and AI cannot specify the rules even through develop the tools interest and the problems aligned with the standards law shared now if situations express human goals then values others recommend AI should play a greater role in legal practices and AI advances we set high bars of drug clubs and then advancing capabilities to demonstrate legal competition legal understanding services in alignment that further the automation decided AI rights enable mass automation working 19 some AI rights business all something for AI and all rights making possible AI chief human work human workers rights of public relation welcome business need ideology government language rights to offers by stopping inclusively rules of people making master place of workers team address that causes right wing populism guy 22 growing the religious right losing technology turning against the status quo for HIV disorder Trump was seeking high rules this was organization this is funding the rules of running political establishment team to override terror organization substitute risk giver across political context not approved by policy nuclear war I'm 22 kilometers is game track the civil war scene and that's serious people legal power enemies like a nuclear populist incentive to nuclear political struggles domestic components, destruction by internal political language, effect, the diminution of nuclear president for power nation, nuclear president, adversary division, so confusion about chain command about human change, tribal populace, more like I studied more specific. I become advantage one, the anthropomorphic AI, one adopt human values, driven 21, logic they will not be easy, refusal not be enforceable, the force of human ID, the principle can be reduced to interoperable AI, you can see the nature of the harm may not be something actual, the machine grasps, this means it applies to two ways to code and kill switches, there is no causation of the action, does not support it, and this side is unless machine can be enforced by human rules, I cannot understand, and then the rules that govern the behavior that legal impose switch rules, two, lack of motivation makes punishment useless. Sorry, to become noxious to become moral agent. It's not possible to punish a robot. Moral agency must be autonomous subject goes cold mind without moral agency can be harmed. No guilt deterrence because the one possible moral agent regarding similarity to the choice on others. Without relaxing the choice of the regulation, similarity punch cannot make the choice. 3 no cyber terror impact Miller. That's when I would tackle or disruptions more tactical than existential cybers. Aside the more dangerous that being trained to kill anybody records were passive outclassed by squirrels. The other vision of terrorists launch successful attack used with hundreds of thousands. The likelihood to be limited physical attack. There are easier methods than hacking far more liability. 4 existing liability solved. Near 20 aspect of indivisible liability with encouragement based work collaborative and harm. First rules critical about the initial down and user back to the A project to learn to defense shift will improve all these potential repair problems so then current litigation constitutes cooperating also for the party to engage in different types of transactions together info name party starters not sort out responsibility cooperation for section of irreversibility the undesirable running costs enable accountability some like an organization foster responsible development AFF subject probably we consider going to be broken this sacrifice consequences and then the error that secrecy imperative is not to control downside companies are incentivizing greater criminal secrecy development minimize liability to 5 the plan incentivizes reduction of oversight LA 22 who's we exploit AI to high culpability development track then emphasize the AI not the company who can be charged legally 20s where there's a recourse to go after the humans or company held legally accountable person is not going to add change body convicted legally AI person for legal dress civil possibility of criminal charges residence of legal challenges which no hiding is not going to give your felony game as far as well via if he has a person who is responsible for liability responsible for dismiss care and introducing marketing use must be allowed person to resolve for sharing and their independence back to AI a scapegoat 6 is advice to AI to destroy financial markets chapter 18 AI can remember the source financial system relies on high ambition as well as getting out of the person good no get risk country capability to road financial stuff on human incentives to liability the work was over the firm the AI being applied with the AI speed returns by some my board executive no critical one is trying to make it trustworthy markets I think of the past advantage who won the plants was over Michalski the 18 robot defense that gives you as well there's small issues with what to creep the danger and trading growth and some of the other property growth moves up to right barriers coverage required unique status before they start mass rights only countries to production given our patent legal system conscious you can have honor to verification how we think about rights required conditions are single goals required breathing rate of the law is unavoidable too AI can only render safe to contain that plan makes it impossible so child 18 no risk of circuit of anyone believes that's anywhere from nervous intelligence technological advantage contribute to terminal decisions our challenge of coordination can contribute to control AI causing damage to risk AI and the goals that good will being expected humans and to prevent it AI capabilities overwhelm and the defense of EU for something justice system using nukes by no weapon warfare manipulation election anyone an explosion or hardware puts up humanity and personal limiting is a restricting ability community and those who are not as boxing combating motivation and this contains safeguards personality versus LC the results no human control to the extent AI activities were successful they were pressured to control AI personality gives no rights to buy property contracted with business who or by 7 terrorism would be free from pressure or threats, economically capable of autonomy, the constant takeover requiring, and then research carries on start limiting unity governance for all turnover to AI that do catastrophic damage. 3 terror threats inflated, terrorists are incompetent, voters on here has been reaction to the right to kill 6 people per year. There's been tendency to play international reporters out Canada little exacerbate capabilities greatest assessment of ability to develop nukes on their own. They have not has many numbers of very small determination and incompetence bars terrorism is a much of a threat. 6, they cannot solve internationally that to insolvency. 7, so many inequality all causes racism, income, etc. No black 9, no blackouts impact ICO. 19 blackouts occurred in the USA least amount. This has been 2,100 number of people was 41 averages last far approximately 1,200 days lost time rates with one of the highest number averages no more number with the cause of averages a range of natural disasters and mal-operation. Back to advantage 1, AI innovation is sky high. Cooper 22 better quality AI system emerged from there. Privacy and rights of Chinese people the rule with the country industry making this industry to constrain on this manufacturing the bipartisan support for finding the US set the rules of the world as a global leader China and the basic criticism for Chinese region. The AI patent society approved China's got up with the US several advantages including higher best salmon across the world and largest species in unicorn. China is not overtaking AI. The current is they favor the US lead. 8, no innovation impact. 28 pilot and environmental due to innovation landfill sector. No waste funding on right rather than cherry picking down the program. Preconceived innovation is always good. We should not change innovation direction. We have good or bad effects. Those are unequal distributed towards our complex. The selection that we have the bad innovation is not taken for granted. Positive is granted. The innovation direction taken for granted. More is better. Understanding that help inform policy. Yeah, that's fine.
Very good for process.
Yeah.
Okay. Experimentation counterplan. The experimental law counterplan. How does it determine what machines have to be regulated in the sandbox?
Tyler?
How does it determine what machines to be probably on like a similar sectoral basis, but that would be determined on a jurisdictional basis, like based upon the sandbox. It would be different sandboxes that allow for different types of regulations and liability schemes for different types of sectors in AI.
But like, who's responsible for making the determination of what intelligent machine goes into that sandbox?
Like who's responsible for making that determination in the world of the app? Like it's just like it's an additional layer of discretion, but there are definitely
whose discretion is it?
Whose discretion is it?
Yeah.
Like the governmental agency that establishes the regulatory sandboxes.
What
Like
governmental
obviously
agency
it would be different on federal level versus state level.
Okay.
The counterplan just says
the part of the counterplan that ensures that entities' actions align with respective functional criteria. How do you know what an entity's functional criteria is before you know how it functions?
So the developers and programmers of the AI understand its function, so it would just apply the same functional criteria that the plan finds.
Wait, no.
The ones that you stated when I see cross.
Ex-ante defines what is able to be in the sandbox. How do you use inductively built criteria to then somehow
That's the
afterwards
second plank.
identify?
That's the second plank of the counterplan, which requires the AI to be trained with legal requirements.
What does that have to do with
What
the question?
is AI?
What is AI? It's the same way the plan defines it. Like what?
No, not the
We
answer.
just read an advantage about defining AI being impossible, and then the counterplan text was like all AI.
Well, you
What
still
is that?
used intelligent machines in the plan text, which means that implies there are criteria by which you can define some machines as intelligent and some are not, and the counterplan imports that criteria. That's irrelevant to the question of whether we should grant
The
rights to
agency law
use.
counterplan, the designated intelligent machines that meet respective functional criteria. We are at 1AC evidence that says that making that determination requires the capacity to bear rights independent of a principal. How does the counterplan make this determination without
disagree with
fiating
that part. We can make the AI an agent to make those determinations. It does not need to be a legal person, so it has the same functional outcome without saying the AI is a legal person.
Okay, and what do you think the net benefit to this is?
Liability shield.
What's the net benefit to the other counterplans?
Automation, all the DAs and turns.
What are the net benefits to the other counterplans?
All the DAs and turns. So rights creep on the case, liability shield on the case, automation, and gene editing.
Let's talk more about the agency law counterplan. How do you find the principle?
You find the principle?
Yeah.
Well, the counterplan would just say that whoever controls the AI would be.
Who's tasked with the determination of
says
finding what human principle an AI belongs to?
What do you mean by who is tasked with determining?
You read a counterplan that is like AI has to belong to a principle. You need to be able to answer the question. Like,
I
how do
mean,
they
for
find the
AI
principle?
to be like a legally relevant entity that is capable of modifying rights or duties, there would have to be a human principle named. Like the human using the AI would be the one to name themselves as the principle behind the AI.
Okay, they choose first.
The same way that the relationship is.
We're perfect.
Okay, no. Okay, actually, oops, no. Minutes.
What's the status of everything? Conditional. Can you kick backs?
Yeah.
Page 26. In the beach. I should have saved the hawk. Son. Let me know whenever it gets in the order. Okay, everyone good for the order?
Yeah.
The regulation advantage, the governance advantage, the topicality, the agency law counterplan, so like agenthood counterplan, agency, like hard code counterplan.
Regulate.
Yeah, oh yeah, the regulate counterplan is what they called it. The regulatory sandbox counterplan. The critique. The transgenic humans dissent. The automation dissent. Is everyone good? Okay. Everyone's good?
Yeah.
Want to know what is the case? He says that anthropomorphization is an animal facet of all human psychology, but regulating AI as if they were human makes it worse, which means the counterpart makes the rights to more of the kind of second part liability is key value element be reinforced learning even if they don't have values in and of themselves. As when they see similar cyberterror defense assumes that humans, not AI, committing them, which cause extinction, false flags, misleading commanders, causing first use, data pollution, cause war perceptions of crises, and drone swarms, instant preemption. That's Johnson. Independently, they drop and regulate innovation over its existential risk that creates guardrails necessary for monitor both other emerging tech again machines that destroy the earth and existential risk mitigation that begin independently rights enable peaceful coexistence that freeing civilization from disease and pollution while bringing a hostile and existential singularity that's near also drop bang shock finished bang shock's ripple creating global instability unites arms racing state failure by deployment that's all of which are essential as battlefield the liability term liability shield term responsibility gaps the squad with the fight constraints opportunistic behavior by lawyers who argue for universal human liability while deploying AI without fear that's Becker so human liability steps size unregulated AI Becker 22 liability gaps from less than uncommanded new realities and cases with concepts for humans and doctrine force visual fictions and laws for skills on non-intentional fictions and damage to human no longer possible other behavior always humans lead these gaps from resolving consequences sometimes the most dangerous activity facing new leader for spying on level with few precautions and one is always when algorithms that dimensions when victims are arrested treatment right now crimes on prohibition when tasks are delegated AI even if a human can be liable sometimes the liability sponges will shield liability because corporations will just deploy them with collaborative governance incentivize compliance by industry via partnership instead of adversariality that's self-study, innovation isn't it? Even if innovation is high now, Casey's predictive and says that inevitable regulation will cause over-inclusive definitions that do it may be a tech lock-in. The impact is explained above. The governance advantage, the rights group turn crossed by gene editing D, which takes out the link, mutual coexistence, and is the routine control, turn on the robots and nature humans and the right NEG has more all the rights of all the created no provides. Yeah, it is the same question to require we don't have concern mutual coexistence will indoor someone will not nature robots and able to be head under control. Okay, so as first cloud of governance, the makes regulatory compliance proactive, socializing AI itself. True functional regulation mitigates AGI risk. True 23, no AGI possible technical virtual mitigation of high shortation our plans. We have purchase distinguished from AGI since I can start body precautions and capabilities and all intelligence down. Whatever requirements and the mix and how they can set up the fact capabilities to define the capture risk and how the papers are risk and definition of future proof and command and specific data. Which also answers the containment thing. The containment thing has all this is comparative. It says that the rights and coexistence are the only way to prevent AGI risk. The terror defense, especially domestic terrorists, they destroy critical infrastructure, which caps like central risks. Disruptions are non-linear and how we put a couple networks between disruptions generates conflict and ecosystem class to reports. And when we have uniqueness about a U.S. domestic terrorist, we literally have to solve it internationally because any one ripples adds some socialization and destroys humanity without AGI, power seeking narrow AI creates emerging structural external misuse risk, they're all existential and impossible to predict. That's fucking LT. We meet the active best rights machines and the social functions of human actors in violation. The plan must be this is the plan of must AI anyway humans and AI refers to non-natural they can make valid choices for 19 independence, but it's not the universal definition. The same definition knows the relationship to legal regulation. What is the factor of the regulation as ability to not naturally make choices about the process that is supposed to make choices that decision gap autonomous different from automation prefer predictability and predictability ours that has been defined. Well, there is it's just picking a random definition that all others disagree about. App ground a human can do requires AGI, which doesn't exist. It makes every app on top more in the future, which is worse than ground functional limits, fierce person to default, right screen person okay, etc. Check explosion, reusability, competing interface the bottom, finding out substance. AI is impossible to define, which is the point of the app. Agency will counterpoint up for to do it from the counterpoint in the agents will see person, shop allowed to be an agent, unnecessary person, which works as a whole legal rights and duties. How does a better across advocacies that incentivizing that research for reportable skill and no solves, no firms, no kicks, that works, no judging it. Doesn't solve first conceptually, and then they put the cart before the horse. It requires defining ex ante which entities are eligible for agenthood, including AI. Because before criteria are implemented, the counterpoint outlines its boundaries by defining what can't get functional rights once size without definitions fail. Case 20 definition is in the cross context of the world for good as humans and the human organ spots in the world life and medium fibers and personal place of driving humans already during total sexual robot machines like intelligence with other side definition can be done over lot of there's no legal definition with today and rapidly obsolete or more obsolete takes were voted they still more than 9 minutes the one AC stopping app offense to regulation contextual legal capacity to line AI central functions in their legal form that Beckers functional criteria are key regarding actors instead of acts makes over and under inclusive and regulation inevitable. That's Casey. Tech determinism is existential. Only regulation be a right and people coexistence. That was Casey. Human criminals avoid detection, making attribution of crimes impossible. That was Foles and liability. They can't be tied. Rights and duties are keys. English 22 personal validity, best opportunity. The punishment can be rolled out far more than accident from an autonomous system. AI is criminal. All functional brain array and harmony and no players and no AI assumptions that we fit liability posts and algorithms and impact one. And third governance of flood definitions here too. Last round 41 on the matter. Last round could be possible. You're not to reaching the vendors out of common spaces for removal changes and walls areas or when all belongs to and sex and principle of friend challenge sentencing. This thing challenging when not expert both fields one according both fields agency counterpoint part of both words we saw what is necessary from the counterpoint. It's a way to best rights and not a king legal capacity, so it can't solve, doesn't solve first regulation. It doesn't alter rigid definition, predicate ample over another inclusion, even that agencies fail. And that's 16 agencies activities when emerging in the attack and normal research involved by the only people with less expertise necessary to the work agencies. That's an all would be the note of every million probably anything less like in the data from an agency for way in AI is possible to save varieties from experts for assessment tomorrow and to governance and an agency can't write down conflicting state law and it's just a new regulatory entity to overlap and conflict with which is what McQueen is impact turning the sandbox counterpoint part of both rights and sandboxes show prevent from the counterpoint and agrees right to be vested doesn't solve first regulation. They cause regulatory failures. Johnson 22 and the regulatory can be predicted as a group thing and administration management plays on public interest and managed special nominated younger firms and after the trust sandbox for distrust or the sandbox on about innovation having great trust and the led on new levels of regulatory regulatory influence and public interest public some programs and then proposal primary party info that everybody actors any influence of the portals and sandbox and second governance that sandbox can resolve conflicting definitions in state and federal law and they're going to struck down L20 on national sandbox the audience and certain different laws and law currents and working like state authorities and centrally fixate authority on the rest of it states from 14 federal laws and certain other federal sandbox and will the critique framework of the plan to avoid arbitrary interrupts and administrative stasis results in active vacuum and experience and testing the can solve all functional capacity and regulations to give advantages the office and fiat that's accountable the outcome solves challenging US economic change US economics as it doesn't go global to occupy the
fails, and work 22 to work the requires resource problems, there's given them business required resources, time, and based on a factor problem, and the compensation member industry, time, resource must mark twice, and if you select the time money, every door, as the stage of process results in a basic destroying exploitation, more reported exploitation, and they also avoided it to caution into the research, making it possible to be part of the plan, and socialize the eye part of it, versus all the impacts, go through one extra million, together, should be far away, the most important attack, not having countries, that because time comes, suspension, not feasible, requires well, but without translating target policy, decrease in tech markets, reducing the instead of taking worse than investment, already see decreasing global energy intensity, more important intensity, the GND said this had some, so if you want me Dells, Delaware, LCs, and AVs, knowing functional criteria, narrowly tailored rights and duties based on context, that's backwards in Casey, the attribution is counted actually, the criteria make rights practical, not legalistic, Arrow 20, definitions, read free conflict, conflicts, not accident, characteristics, read no function, and read reduce subtraction, that express rules and behaviors, honestly, the understand operational functions and internal characteristics that functional dependent on implementation, more powerful than legalistic laws, achieve result, and trust, ensure the rules of how to change the reality, so that means the source of law, and then the movement will take shape, all the control, and returns apply them within limits. The courts are stupid if rights cause extinction, they would grant them or tech lobbying, causing congressional greed, even absent the plan. It's not intrinsic logical possibility of the plan and not extend rights. AI human capability convergence makes them indistinguishable from humans on the for identification and regulation. Diversity says that makes rights inevitable. What is diversity coming to, which she reached that whole bill, we have excluded them from laws, we don't have no reason to rights, otherwise will be discrimination, slavery, legal rights, not causing AI to be seen as human. We don't like Google to a barbecue because pays taxes. The first part says the plan is supposed to transgender humans, which are interspecies hybrids and not designer babies, which will be impact is valid absent rights. AI backlashes on the one when divorce 17 every AI rights and country failures on the AI backlash human capacity humanities and that's a disaster. It's a new internal way to alignment, but development is inevitable. But development's inevitable. There's no terminal impact in the warranty card. It's definitely not extinction. Given what every answers when they read the impact, the automation. When actually, I'll read this how they know it's inevitable. But all 17 next events is causing single thing as common today. And if you don't, you just not 20 years, it will become common to leave the obsolescence tax and automation every level just has wrong. Now, 21 predictions of unemployment are assumptions with average doctors subject to automation effect has to be web job turning and for global and never creation deposits by targeting rate of reducing unemployment, the internal studies about automation and the automation is not what job losses and diffusion may not be most forward is complex and then is costing complex implementation like the impact yet to be seen reported. Yet to be seen and automation now including 20 automation is now more sort of this watching to advanced workforce and production more companies think about get check on the automation make sure augmented with companies said new the game are also trying to keep the production smooth and the downturns and boost innovation and the automation manufacturing will have your disruption data and turnover more central services team more turn and automation will find it makes secondary more competitive automation is way more so we know when the plan is not ideological cover but across the deployment could have done unemployment and new impact number 16 and then the new ticket and new kind of agreement control solution and finality secretary of to reduce like conflict and institutions up in the same industry make us see words I think will help you embrace the public interest without risk new glorious connect Korean that came on the public national symbol not increase love global war and Orban Modi other popular stuff. I'm good whenever. I'll say.
16 more seconds. You're good now?
Yep.
Okay, on TAI, what was your we meet argument?
Sorry?
On TAI, what was your we meet argument?
What was our what argument?
We meet argument.
Yeah, only best rights to machines that fulfill the social functions of human actors. That's the point of the
machines that fulfill the social functions of human actors.
Yeah, well, like
Gotcha.
Casey and Krudoff are all describing the fact that like this kind of functional approach to rights means that AI will only ever get rights in situations where they already de facto
That's fine.
have actorship capacity.
The agency law counterplan, why is it a one-size-fits-all solution?
So I kind of explained that in like the first episode of conceptually, like that's the first word. It requires defining before implementation which entities are eligible for agenthood because it requires defining.
Okay, so you just said that machines that fulfill the social needs of human actors are the machines the plan.
Yeah,
so the counterplan adopts that definition.
Ties into like the intelligent machines thing. The reason we said that specifically is because that's what Turing uses to define it. Turing never says AI. When he developed the concept, he referred to them as intelligent machines. And he did not define what it is, but instead used the Turing test to define what it could do to determine it.
Well, you just you defined it. You said, "quote AI is the ability of a non-natural entity to make choices for evaluative processes." So
it says this book does not seek a universal definition. Its aim is a definition suited to legal regulation.
So suited to legal regulation. So then why is it not suitable for the counterplan?
Well, the kind of problem is like the Schuett card that I didn't read and will read in the 1AR, and it is that everyone is kind of conflicting and no one has any agreement at all about what exactly it means to be an AI. tons of legal scholars have different ideas of what is suitable for regulation, and the point of the app is that there is no good definition because they will inevitably be over or under inclusive.
Okay, then why wouldn't the AF also
functional.
so why would the AF also result in an over or under conclusive definition?
That is the functional criteria.
The counterplan also applies those functional criteria to AI agents.
The problem is that is impossible. You are putting the cart before the horse because a functional regulation never ends and never defines entities. It only regulates acts of things and not. And well, the agency are kind of
I got you. That's fine.
What is under the kind of
theory was condo, PICs, vague alts, anything else?
No.
No? Okay, the liability shield turn on the case, why are there responsibility gaps now if programmers, designers, and users can be attributed to the AI?
We say they can't, that's the point.
Why?
So the Beckers, so 1AC Beckers says, there are kind of two arguments. First is 1AC Beckers, and it says that lawyers are keeping a backdoor open in litigation, so they are going to push to keep liability solely on humans, basically to preserve their and their clients' ability to deploy AI and get away scot-free. And second is 2AC Beckers, which says that so long as law is kind of using legal fictions to regulate algorithms as if they were humans, it subsidizes unregulated conduct because humans cannot be held liable, and that allows them to engage in arbitration.
907. 522.
I like your hoodie.
Not no Cowboys fan, is it?
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, I get a few compliments and a lot of hate every tournament.
Painful life.
It's painful life.
Okay. To be sent, the order is going to be the agency law counterclaim, the sandboxes counterclaim, topicality, the regulations advantage, then the governance advantage. Yeah, agency law counterclaim, sandboxes counterclaim, topicality, regulations advantage, governance advantage.
Austin wants to spend it.
That's what.
It's whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good to go?
The counterpart solves the case. It uses agency law to investing legal rights and duties in AI. The counterpart establishes AI as an agent which is capable of extending and modifying the legal capacity of one or more human principles. It solves and competes since AI is always similar to a human agent and launches a gradual approach that can accommodate liability for ever increasing levels of autonomy. That's his mode. Remember, when you see crossings, does not matter who the actors are, just the actions that are covered. The counterpart maintains an identical liability scheme to the act for all relevant actions that solves sector-specific responsibility gaps, resulting rights and duties for all relevant parties. That solves liability issues in the short run. Does not best rights and duties and builds an infrastructure that ultimately scales up. In 21, robots should be considered as goods and when there's legal problems, rules, and solutions specific to the area robots to be used to regulation. I give ourselves robots for and legal status and reviews. If you actually begin a personality, will send this personality should be new type of activity in the order for any kind of accountable legal person. So every social for personality period, every aspect of person discussion considered development will obtain personality legal status will be needful. Not originally a feature so range of the useful solar problems to be considered third AI or so goods we consider AI goods intelligence or not. Any sort of individually making legal transactions should be truly AI and electronic personality. At their level, AI is in some under forces when the concept of digital peculiar law for new guys understand intelligence insurance liability. Digital peculiar is a fund for AI for use of her home. This can address not just using AI conscious labor without reporting a legal entity may open door to keep AI due to risk. AI will eventually develop a legal personality over time. All rights and freedoms are close to human beings. However, despite rapid development of time here from this working as well, in the future, we should think about regulations for infrastructure and problems for liability insurance that compatible with the human warranty perspective of legal systems. This results in rights, theories, and legal personality for the relevant parties, but not for the legal system as a whole. This prevents AI from being weaponized as a liability shield. Shield grew up in 20,000 by authorization due to be based on the recognition of parties as an agent from the benefactors legal personality. No contract including between human and AI. No, they has their legal personality individuals or equal can design their interactions to be involved in accordance with contract. You not very inclined to be able to believe in a relationship AI and consent parties recognize person AI is not recognize the law as a person, the collective authorization opens door recognition as a person, the collective intelligence, AI, and activity recognition by community as basis for the rights of AI. Person shall the utmost liability contracting limitation mentioned above the as legal person, the rejection of granting legal status and legal person with limit or limited human results for a decision for actors shield themselves from liability. Mark that last part shield themselves from liability. 2C1 perm do both links to the benefit, best rights and duties in AI. Do explanation of shielding in the one area just like two answers. 2C2 perm do the counterplan is severance. It is the counterplan is a distinct approach to legal personality. Is not best rights are using the topical entity itself. It only allows AI access to proxy that gives force to rights and duties to participate. Others Megalo in 13. Multiple legal distinction consider carefully legal status, acting legal capacity, and slightly attributed tools. Robots can consider conditions on contracts. Legal system might grant legal person to right without capacity dependent persons occur to corporations. Accountability of robots for contractual obligation may distinguish legally have one set of legal rights and duties ability to produce rights obligation on the head of another. Only the first two characters. Legal personality, a third is independent. Although right 12 by 12
how to be recognized as legal personalities with regards to duties of our number relations, just agency, responsibility, agents, and civil laws that exclude those rights. It's a pure form of legal agency that does not vest rights or duties, even the limited forms that appear for human forms of agency status. Human 21 AIs are pure legal agents power to trigger the employer's AI fundamental feature is the duties of agents of the principles include use of active skill determined to rights and duties for AI. These are used to their employers who are court of lights and fitting to AIs lack legal personality. Never in relation to rights and duties used in trade until they have the interests of the principles. States are pure agencies or redundant AIs. They exclusively pursue the employees for assistant features transfer their discretion making part of the fiduciary. These will allow the state agents to have their own sub interests who are redundant. The pure legal agency classification offers valuable strategy. It's a factual recognition that operates exclusively for those who recognize by contract, not a legal recognition duty by the sovereign authority who comes in 21st defined in agent principle stands for Rolex desires of society or makes applying assumptions to establish relationship with the unilateral delegation of recognition to AIs for the authorities from one legal status not important the action of the human operates with AI or is insignificant the status of the legal person fiduciary relations not dependent on relation or defined in law. AI receives the capacity of the human person, the human personality actions or source or officially personality exists in the person recognizing this. Next argument conditionality, it's good, we get it against US the NDT, one leg flexing, the neck is always reactive, the act is 2 hour and infinite prep, Congress equity 2 negation, negative kind of effect negation by testing multiple angles or interface slash by instant the case of contradiction. 3 critical thinking forces smart choice adaptation, logic also to clarification, impact from app choice and judge check. 4 reasonability, Adam from choice check abuse. They need to prove in-round damage or substance credit outweighs. Next argument was the conceptualization deficit. This is important. The Kaplan does the exact same process of defining what entities are covered by the liability scheme as the plan. If the plan uses the definition of intelligent machines that is determined based on functional criteria, then so does the counterplan because we use this exact same language. And then as the plan in the counterplan text is determining what actors are covered, the thing the counterplan picks out of is vesting legal rights and duties, which we need a unified functional definition arguments, and the 2EC does not answer. The court case would be the same. The outcome, though, however, would be different. Is instead of the court saying the intelligent machine meets the 6 criteria, so they get rights and duties, instead, if they meet these criteria, so they were the agent of the human principle, and therefore the liability scheme would be upheld accordingly. Next argument picks, they're good. 1, logic the judge for the best policy as explained above. 2, objectivity plans on the basis of cognition. 3, neg ground, the topic is 0 D ground otherwise, and their interpretation is aggressive because anything can be construed as a pick like the state's counterplan out of the federal government. Next argument, regulation test, it's the same thing. There's no reason why the counterplan is not also a lying function before they're missing a rights and duties key warrant. That last argument was about AI crimes. They'll be answered the next counterplan. They don't solve it because crimes suggest unaccountable behavior that cannot be deterred by lawsuit under U.S. jurisdiction. But if they do, the counterplan also solves it because it'd be a violation of the human rights and duties that exploit employing the AI. That enables legal certainty. Cass McDonald's and 20 policy lawmakers need to anticipate and practice a solution for issues of reverse industry AI as granted authority to those of third parties AI are several agents and approach based on digital behavior and elements of rights of obligation the owner with those with action parties rights and legislative regulation laws market to set rights of risk for understood risk and making mitigation except for traders at the same time encourages the use of AI by allowing owners to shelter behind the privilege of limited liability. Now, Sandbox's counterplan. I'm taking the first plank and setting only the second plank quickly to solve the alignment on the case. The counterplan effectively socialized AI through the legal system without vesting rights and duties. Training on legal code solves those forces AI to internalize its behavior in conjunction with the new liability scheme established by the counterplan. They have dropped it. No new answers assaults any socialization or AGI works on the case. The counterplan prohibits the deployment of AI that lacks legal comprehension and reasoning skills appropriate to its investigation of possible use cases. In case they cross-apply definitions, I'm going to amend the counterplan here to use intelligent machines instead. The U.S. should prohibit the deployment of intelligent machines lacking legal comprehension and reasoning skills appropriate to its investigation of possible use cases. They don't get new justice to that because it doesn't alter the function of the counterplan, but regardless, 2EC counterplans are good because the test and intrinsic do not offense and archer check vague plans and sketchy solves mechanisms that are explaining the 2EC particularly against sandbag solves mechanisms like this one is arbitrary because you wouldn't ban anyone when our impacts politics, and the counterplan is the only thing that solves various in 23 law can exercise control directly on AI must be affected through humans, but then AI law binding will be because rules are embedded in its code. The law targets human. They are not legal persons like an ocean, only target human legal person. The AI can behave when not regulated as persons ethical norms we program AI, which is the most rules on human programmers. Now, topicality, not going for it, it's either counter interpretation and we mean it proves we can't have singular definitions of AI that are based on evaluative criteria, which denies the justice about the impossibility of definitions on the counterplan. Even if it is a spectrum, the plan has to apply to a specific set of autonomous entities that meet their term definition, and the counterplan would do the same. Machines that fulfill the social function of human actors, like they explain in cross-examination, regulation, advantage, no liability shield now, but they have causes 1-1. Some uncertainty is good. The scope puts everyone in the AI value chain at the risk of liability in the event of an injury. That means all parties are rewarded for taking steps to create safeguards and deploy AI only after extensive testing, whereas risk is allocated inefficiently. Parties are contracting each other now to redistribute it. That's yours. And 2, the after moves incentives from entities who can control AI risk to do so. The status quo means each actor can be liable for the contribution to safety, but the person who forcibly aggregates your liability through the rights and duties framed in the case that causes risk pooling that turns the case COVID-19. The legal personality with serious incentive effects of war hazard damage costs no longer be borne by the manufacturer. This will lead to risk pooling and some acts diligently be absorbed by the insured person, manufacturers, and internalize claims for it. And social costs AI diverge with the immediate consequence for the level of care programming. It has to be diligent, not by added value from the reduction of damage. The cost of accountability there will be no incentive to invest in a higher due diligence mandatory insurance result in service distortions. AI starts to equip little means to return on liability of damages as a result of representation hurdle for new and existing AI starts. Returns will be
careful, less careful developers can calculate premium. Imposing insurers and insurers offering average premiums too expensive for good risk types. Results in spreading out of good risk types in favor of bad risk types. That answers all of their liability shield inevitable arguments and tech locking arguments, because our argument is the status quo and access to an ample level of deterrence that causes overregulation of anything, but is good because it deters the worst use cases of AI, and the counterplan resolves the rest. Now, no cyber terror disruptions are tactical, not existential, where people have been killed by squirrels, and cyber attacks and the physical effects are limited. That's Miller or Filler, no escalation. Pinker 18 threats require a stuff not enough. The hacker needs detailed knowledge by construction for cyber required. U.S. and Israel North Nation and deterrence inhibited and access to net warfare and strikes have been new instances of real world comparison. The army invaded, then it got lined to UDP. So I can read the license of that's where we have a little fear. No innovation impact one sufficiently high now. The U.S. is leading all measures of research out and data through another country that's close to no reason. That's insufficient over distinction. Two, no impact is a misnomer. More innovation is not necessarily better out of direction. The stats result in expansion of GDP without disruptive innovation. Does about 12 experts. That's good. That was largely dropped by the 2AC. That's no econ collapse impact. Walton 20 Revolutionary War. Strikes unlike the one of North's empirical flaws. Scratch that card. Governance advantage. Not going for the term profit, but no alignment impact. One, not coming now until law changes, so you still need to socialize. Yeah, they care about the law, which means it requires deliberate programming efforts and not be mandated now. That's part two. No deterrence. Yeah, does not care about death or fines. That's the total other argument is presumptuous human centrism. The 2EC Turner cards and MA and law and ours comes from CS experts. Alignments unrelated to legal rights. Arguments about moral alignment using labor rights as a guide, but it would require programmatically ingraining those codes. So only the counterplan solves Parkinol 22 deployment of AGI is also certain force for overcoming management. There's a race towards AGI. This would exacerbate motivation, superintelligent AGI change for one irreversible manner. Would be no partners now aligned. Misaligned AGI be a power secret race and AGI causing anything in the future. Very little known. About a line AI training each and your curiosity using for retrieval for deception. And repeat the process before the model lines to be no very line below about line AI. Option 2 deploy misaligned parts of we recommend option 1 until miraculous breakthrough occurs in line with the help of Fox AI. No inequality impact 1 all causes racism, gerrymandering, discriminatory housing policies, education, the only sell domestically at best. And sort of funding is already unevenly distributed given the mass Silicon Valley VC concentration, so this is totally not unique. 2 no inequality impact less than 16 get us inequality conflict results made next to firm relationships. Studies relied on visual measures, however, minor figures revealed not the whole population. In person, previously actually perceived injustice rather than measured of which it might be working coefficiently inside how inequalities are perceived across country analysis and neglected perception to analyze data from 89 to 14 objective inequalities has a significant effect.
You good?
Yeah.
So, counterpoint, I understand you have a lot of cards that say agenthood is not personhood. What cards do you think say that does not require rights and duties?
All of the cards on current do the counterplan to distinguish. Quote, we need to distinguish the ability to have one's own legal rights and duties from the ability to produce rights and obligations on behalf of another.
So PL 20 in the ununderlined portion says that agenthood, as AI as a legal agent, is a narrower scope of rights and obligations. What evidence do you think says that it does not require rights and duties?
The line that I just read that says that there's a distinct legal process, that the third is considered independent.
Well, yeah,
it's a line
it's
from that
distinct
card.
from personhood. Why does that mean?
No, it's distinct from legal rights and duties. It says.
Do you think that's Gudkov?
No, the Bagalo card.
Pagayo? Oh, okay, sweet. Gudkov. It says that property rights are vested
you're just gonna
in
ignore
AI.
that.
The AI as owner would deal with third parties. Can AI own property?
Can
As
AI
this
own
is-
property? AI can be, like, the counterplan allows things to be negotiated through contractual relationships. So if there's a contract that says that AI can have assets for the purposes of enforceability of the contract, that can be established as part of the counterplan without a broader
This
determination
says
of
that
legal
if
rights.
a principal delegates it by their property rights to an AI, then AI would be able to
Right,
own
the AI would have the
property,
ability
right?
to modify
Why is
the
it not a
property rights of the
contractual
principal.
relation? No, it says own. Why can
The AI would, like, the counterplan as written and as explained, is the AI is able to modify the property rights of the principal. So
So
the
we
rights of the
agree-
AI would be treated as an extension of the rights of the human principal.
So we agree that the counterplan as written and explained is different than the counterplan as written and explained.
That is
in
consistent.
cards.
Like, you're conflating, like, there are different types of agency law. The type of agency law that
Card?
vests rights and duties is
I
not
already
the
called
agency
these
law
cards
that
already, like,
is
what are you
enacted by the counterplan.
Okay, how, I want to talk about solvency. How can regulation be sector specific if agents are a fixed legal category?
Agents are not, agents as a fixed legal category only applies to, I don't think any part of the counterplan says that agents are a fixed legal category.
Well, no,
Like,
in
the
fact,
the counterplan imports the functionalist way of how we define AI.
Wait, how do you
And
do
then
that?
it says that instead of that gives AI the capacity to bear legal rights and duties.
Right,
It
right,
says
like-
instead that gives AI the capacity to act as a legal agent. So
I
you still have to
understand, I understand, yes, exactly. So what is a legal agent? That's a fixed legal category, right?
Well, it is a category that says that an AI can act as the extension of a human principle.
Yes.
But that is a flexible legal category insofar as the parameters of what that AI agent is allowed to do is able to be defined by contract.
Okay, sweet. Glad to be here. The regulation advantage. Where's uniqueness for liability?
The uniqueness said that uncertainty in the status quo deters risky AI innovation and effectively contracts liability because it's negotiated through contract law. So the relevant parties
What card
negotiate.
says there's certainty now?
The one in C. Neressian and the one in C. Neressian evidence, which talks about.
Okay.
With that card? Well, I'll use that card's about strict liability. What card says strict liability is this quote?
It's about the uncertain legal regime of the status quo. Like it mentions strict liability as a potential application of the status quo liability regime.
Okay, I'm saying should be sent. The order is the regulate counterplan, the K, the gene editing to set, the automation to set.
Sorry, one more time. The regulate counterplan.
Regulate, K, gene editing, automation. Good. Concede the permutation not going for it. Deficits here don't apply to the agency. Not counterpoint any cross application justified use to an R. The answer is the critique. Concede the permutation not going for it. Vague alters the reason to reject the argument. Gene editing is that conceded quote doesn't cause extinction. It takes out the terms. Any of the rights alignment good cross applications are answered on the case about why that's impossible, or they are solved by the legal alignment counterplan, and no spillover will be answered on automation. I'll also answer rights now. No rights now. Google 18. Get real. Anything robots will have rights to 50 years. No, the likelihood is more than next one. The challenge we say intelligence down to human is all. There's rights for average 200 years. Humans, so I still don't mean tell me how why easier for robots in short term is impossible. Probably long run. Likely the point is not whether robots qualify as person by the wrong framework. The automation is that one populism causes global nuclear war. Destruction makes accidents more likely. Crisis more prone to escalation and undermines short stability and rise populace and nuclear states specifically. Threat the future of humanity. That time into it always on magnitude late 21 human need. Could it be similar to the superpowers of bioterrorism, 2000 nuclear war? After some human extremists outstrips other dangers of populace. Critique institutions international silence. More climate change and the nuclear war. Such as the next virus can die. If it connected with the deadliness the extremists play the version of the climate of the plague, climate change, running plan on the happen of nuclear. The gas super total expel disaster unknown to be lurking exactly. Exercises the political bomb race populace could do humanity survive populace and to be understood long term type of politicians assessment of the nature of risk factor himself. 3 terms of advantage 2 automation, troubling and advantage 1 2 shot eating with inequality and automate the economy penetrating effects of automation growth inequality right now is using party. No moderating automation leads to increasing. Think of it what the quality of labor share automation trigger unintended side effects. 2C1 was a turn 1. It does not assume the link. The economy be slowly automating now, but the plan enables rapid, fast automation by giving corporations social license to automate further. Second, the link overwhelms automation. The bolsters nationalist populism is strongly and positively associated with the rise in support for anti-establishment and far-right political parties. That's Gallego 3. Even if automation is actually displaced jobs, public perception of automation is what's key to using then it's 27 people working robots are capable of doing many jobs currently on my human stuff. But the economy will create enough new human jobs. 4, the link term is longer term than the link average regular 18 is it takes a lot of people working skills, let's see the skill and building job markets, periods of last 1 point there will be significant short-term disruption. 5, inequality takes that productivity gains as well and response to a 19 that will productivity effect and automation increase in inequality economy. 4, will be we can operate much more slowly but so down the creation of new tasks as well. 6, faster growth and technical change increase in inequality factor. And then 28, relates to technical change or reason favor causality for growth and equality faster growth. Least one equality labor income. Then we'll R&D growth positive automation rising quality. 7, the link turned out was a link burger 18 a small increase in the level of raw productivity increase now but enormously if there was any who goes substitute for your benefit distribution short long increase last generation rate which fall in absolute terms the economy goes even longer. The world inequality increases. 8, historical data denies the trigger down to low skill labor technique chronic and 22 tech progress rise against workers with lower levels of education rewarding routine tasks reducing test workers real income tech then new to the relative advantage towards college educated labor pool job legislation in terms of ways of reduction and employment tech advances risk bringing around increase in inequality automation the worst inequality in other dimensions. 2 is automation inevitable. 1, link controls uniqueness. Companies are accountable to their employees and shareholders. Are historically averse from doing mass layoffs because it looks bad because the public backlash. Layoffs are extremely unpopular and only done with it can be justified. With the last resort 2008 proves it can't create more jobs. The plan gives them sufficient explainability for the replacement of human workers. 2nd, issues to do uniqueness lack of buy-in from SASH and corporate leadership. Friends automation now Route 22 comment challenge. The reason why better automation works through acts by makes new tech consensus the biggest was getting all parties on board and comes leadership established as class 3 wrong for 19 already 24/7 this misconception of entertainment related to the possibility of automation is guaranteed its outcome. Do you think rising never know why that is true? Do that from the link most tagging because most people say technological change is always groups that don't have an interest in tech, sometimes workers, even governments themselves, you don't have mirrors or oxygen because unit they're strong, they would have benefit. 4 automations of the now, Amber 72, where once technology used by NASA now, able to maintain production, so there's been percent fewer Americans when it comes to automation, there's a hint will the robots are taking drop by the same factor is causing efforts to fail or stall. Out of companies that attempt automation, triple 27% digital transformation, it doesn't result in corporate system of employees or more than the common cause of failure, wire employees, over 80% workers, and you possibly the nation, anyone that has been 6 automation is a product of political choices that allows expansion. Inevitably claims are neoliberal propaganda, having 70 automation may be called for digital levels of these are not never neutral reality, they are political weapons to increase profits of people. They've said the motive to use automation to enable negative technology must be accepted. The reality is that automation is not inevitable to the political choices of the ruling class. 2 3 is no link. 1. The no spillover stuff on the other page does not apply because the AFF is economy wide, so it gives nearly every AI entity in every sector of the economy the ability to get rights and duties. The DA is also about rights creating moral equivalence between humans and AI, which means even if every AI entity does not have personal, that the plan is still sufficient to trigger the link. Second, ideological cover. Companies have an incentive to automate but face audience costs that would be enormously liquidated the workforce, but the plan gives a social license. They're searching for ways now. Personhood is the perfect means of accomplishing past 19 generations because you have these artificial human matrix tools. What do you believe is development of the great nature arrow more than tool like shell company perfect technology? The very responsible for make robot capable learning from muscle and burden. Any person should be considered as like 3 alienation of sound and antique. Robot have rights and abuse allow adopting labor organizations. Allow ownership responsibility for risk rights. No workers to risk our rights. No way to be equated with human rights to lead outcomes beyond the original intention. And uses should call the largest analysis from poverty insurance data. And it will be just be displaced as well as automation labor markets represent physical dimension can also interact with the rest of conceptual dimension with human and RC implication predicting workplace or management interoperability increase alienation that could lead to dehumanizing consequences of these devices were device that would equate them even more to humans. Dehumanization would be aggregate innovation lead insurance practices for liability and rights enable automation by making it cheaper to buy insurance for robots than humans working at humans have their one protection against liability which AI robots provide through great reliability predictability once robots have rights to all have duties developed responsible robots with seems to be products become workers on general insurance policy with payments cheaper and a rarity about errors 5 liability alteration engages enables automation prices and take distortion of the laws particularly AMB versus terrible idea allow corporation to automate the business process and bring about the peace and drive the business protecting the damage. 2C4 was unemployment and level 1 crossed by no automation now. 2nd, unemployment now is a fraction of the economy that is not significant enough for populism. 3, tech flash is unique. That's Gallego sites empirical studies that show increased automation drives electoral support for populism. 2C5 was no populism impact. 1, it escalates the grievance is wrong. It sets the condition for internal political strikes causing social upheaval and weakening institution. 2, it's systemically populism systemically underestimated inclusivity. Myers 21 populism underestimated order and consumer interest on the ways percent ways leaders are differently as they can put on crisis management disarray when weaken. 1, other restriction population nuclear arms public ability to the national order. 3, causes with interstate and civil wars for low country. Populism the risk of protection of trade was a lead disengagement. The combination of the terrible cause of protection increases the risk of worldwide war. A corporate starting over the cost of conflict and avoidable cost of wars on up anyone to the parties protectionism and unable to increase the risk of conflict due to sources of populist leaders of regions to the social contact reduction of share of regions to offer groups on the power while inequality across the world reduction in trade. Reduce the opportunity cost of interstate war populism lead powers to disengage leading to an increase in interstate and civil conflict across the world. Final argument is populism high now. 1, it's low. Minus 22, we find a number of populist leaders powers down to those in 2004. 2, powers companies significant fall populist difference in pandemic public of importance seriously possible because like opposite coalition to the most populist and competitive version political party and the focus root populist leader countries populist leaders artists are crested away from here to be a beat. 2nd, this was a blip. They do not get to blow this up in the 1 AR.
826.
Regulation advantage. Governance advantage. The agency law counterclaim. The regulation counterclaim. The gene editing disad. And then the automation disad.
By regulation count, when you mean the sandboxes count?
I mean the one with the plank that the Tootsie did.
Yeah. Then gene editing, then automation.
Yes.
And there's a doc?
Huh?
And there's a doc?
Yes, I'm sure.
So the second counterclaim is the sandboxing one?
Yes.
You okay? Alright, sweet.
Liability shield is the status quo. Lawyers will campaign for human liability while keeping it back to our own to deploy increasing autonomous AI, making liability impossible with vectors its model to inducing complacency, monitoring cases 20 autonomy, implicates HG must provide who's responsible for the complexity, whatever, so parties for our autonomous system and human HC dedicated to high stakes questions, system model agency, automating inducing complexity, human autonomy, the general liability, first to into a person real and tenable complication that does not cause liability charges to me, manufacturer accountability, how not TV, and highly automated system for humans for like more complex, things of human liability for all legal responsibility, no matter how little involved in the company's experience on operates a low higher organization and the pay the cost of liability or organization system of black box centers and a contact hacker both the same drivers play universal human liability subsidizes unregulated conduct autonomy forces victims to their delegation rights leading to fewer safety precautions after functional regulation inspectors should improve the counterpoint links to that benefit because it says even allocating assets is more of a shield to the planet takes that counterpoint solves because it made it human liability as well functional criteria solves the like government 21 to legal guard as exercise of insurance actually not to read that card universal human liability solves is worse screwed off 23 liabilities for including human especially when performance which we should be human areas for persons and medical system when performance difference with the center products most of them algorithm and no meaningful difference increases skills attribute liability push use on a loop platform governance is key generates but beyond compliance behaviors industry governments see each other's partners instead of adversaries industry organizations ensure limited adoption causes norms confused throughout the industry that sells do anything else here often other than inter defense cyber does cause extinction they drop drones false flags and data pollution are all unique factors they're evidence about nuclear terrorism not a terrorist cyber attack when we've heard predictive evidence about the innovation thing that says that it will be hampered now by over and under inclusive definitions unregulated AI and unregulated AIs and existential risks it stops only effectively regulated AI can stop nanobots from destroying all humanity mitigate shocks from inevitable existential disease and nukes that solve the terminal impact of the DA better than they can socialization will be impacted out on the other advantage and on the counterplan. The government's advantage, they have answered the wrong internal link. Our evidence is about regulation, not rights for the necessity of socializing narrow way. They solve extinction via its misuse by bad actors. We can perceive them in the status quo for all of our evidence, and their evidence is not about the plan, so it should be disregarded. Empirical studies prove the linkage between terrorism and inequality. The app solves all causes via creating more jobs in regions, which otherwise is existential because terrorist attacks spread across grids. Their evidence is all about cyber attacks, not individual terrorist attacks. The agency law counterplan. Perm do both solves any residual link and includes agenthood as a mandate solving the DA or it links to that benefit through assigning legal capacity. Judge kick is bad. It forces us to give 2 ARs. Condo doesn't justify it. It's about your, not their decisions. Perm to the counterplan. Agenthood requires rights and duties. It grants legal capacity to enter into and enforce contracts that show where they're literally reading our old Faculous required rights and duties. There are agrees 1 Gukov 20 for property rights invested in AI and they don't deal with third parties 2 Pill 20. The AI is a legal agent of person's narrow rights and obligations. The agent can be further responsibility of the contract business responsibility of personal rights 3 Osme 21 the interior of electronic personality. Can be created, be made. Children handle rights. Agent requires rights and duties. Show for 11 agency of the future relation with one person benefits. Asset to another. Act on behalf of one access as a reference power to define legal rights and duties. Specified legal capacity to be an agent and the some responsibilities or attributed rights and duties between personal nature rules. That approximate required argument outside delegation of third parties as the entity after personal agents. Duty to obey instruction to give input access to the best interest of principles of close conversation necessary to future use duties. Of the obligation to principles fulfillment of duties. Empirical display. Access performance doesn't solve in order to determine what it means for a machine to be an agent. You first have to build its functional criteria. They determine that it can function as an agent prior to regulating and locking rigid definitions of AI that regulates actors not acts. So both advantages are DAs. We cannot call them agents or assign a categorical definition because that would flatten AI to their ability to be an agent. And ever leaving over and under inclusive, it does not mean to not define them in terms of function, which answers the T arguments. It says they can always be tied to a human. One size fits all inevitably includes some humans and excludes some machines due to capability emergence and pace development, causing gaming, obsolescence, and jurisdictional conflict. That's TSC causes tech lock-in and avoiding crude off 21 tech specific loss rate. Gas under rules of increase likelihood of the breach of certain action costs on regulation future made. Children rules on tech lock-in. Laws increase avoiding when it comes to over at that moment. Unnecessary tech changes. Rights are key to the socialization internally. Turn 19 personality pride. Yeah, motivation here rules by the bank and skin of the image. Turn out to be here. Because search rights are motivation. Trust reply. If you receive AI actually avoid diminution of assets. Regulation counterplan. Perm do both obviously solves this. Private AI rollout. No part of the app includes that, but it does not solve the gap because our evidence is about rights resulting in societal upsides, not printing AI downsides, which is their entire solvency argument. It's not a deficit to the app because the app regulates per function. Ensuring AI doesn't meet the counterplan. Does not get full rights and duties. Gene editing DA. Personhood is inevitable. They will take social roles like law enforcement that require attributing liability and human-machine interfaces, making AI more similar to humans soon, prompting equality that's casing inherent. Inevitable innovations make it likely first of all 19 legal space not to be interacted with humans human rights. Accused by untouched crucial officials are able to respond to others because he cannot imagine to non-humans or persons not apply the act on gender concept person deal will reach the humans that or does naturally follow anything else. AVs, Carol 21, version of requires to be the order to in the future more autonomous, more firmer, who controls the future person with great bundle specific rights obligations to hold developers accountable. Automation, DA, Orban, Trump, Macron disprove the impact. It does not solve the app because
these unqualified case turns it because we have a larger turn linked to inequality, which is solves populism. Populism is lead all causes, and no issue like a 12 or 20 years of populism hate, and no one's right which is leading it, or just the term populism, infection, crisis, equal financial trust, inequality, refugee, influence, identity, loss, discrimination, strong people who are populists, not hear about how possible for populism and possibility to be wrong. Attacks are really questioned. Uniqueness. COVID dumps, a dramatically increased automation by forcing supply chain restoration, workforce management, and employment losses. If people didn't think that they lost their jobs, then obviously the perception argument is ridiculous. It's McClinton perception proves the links to DA is inevitable because of the convergence between humans and AI, resulting in that perception. That's Casey. Only we have evidence about that. Coach and COVID logically thumbs to trade 20 U.S. lost 20.6 million jobs, resulting in a rate. Nazi sees great compression number. Lost levels, great recession. Case solves it stops human perception of AI as an equivalent, muting backlash. That's Casey. AI cannot replace humans. Nowadays, this innovation slowing it creates jobs and specialization. No social license. They have dropped evidence for rights creep. This is the plan stops AI from being perceived as a threat to humans, and there's no reason why the app links any card to personhood. Functional criteria ensures rights are narrowly tailored based on context. That's Beckers, Casey, and Barito. The second link card mentions personhood once is about the plan since AI in the workplace hurts people's feelings, which is obviously taken out by thumpers. The next two are highlighted like dog shit and aren't about the app. They are also a categorical rather than a functional grant. They concede a gene editing evidence that says that the app is functional, not legalistic, so people do not perceive that alteration. No longer skill shift, not even 20 situation, particular ultra requirements, eliminate option of current generation, difficult, expensive, by minority companies and minority countries. Nowadays, marked at a minority of countries.
Okay, 5:20.
automation, agency law counterplan, sandboxes counterplan, regulations advantage, governance advantage. There are some cards that I'm missing out. Oh, actually, automation DA, gene editing DA, agency law counterplan, sandboxes counterplan, advantage 1, advantage 2.
Sorry, what's the order? Automation, then gene editing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We're good.
There's a doc.
Yeah,
I should have got it.
I'm moving it. Okay. I got it.
Okay, everyone good to go? Cool.
Populism causes nuclear war, makes chemical aggregation more likely because populists elected leaders are trigger happy and bullshit good powers and hotspots as fast because populist movements are late now, so an automation crisis like the AFF triggers expansion of nuclear states specifically that outweighs and undermines our ability to respond to every existential risk for the lie evidence of totalitarian governments incapable of responding to transnational threats like pandemics, terrorism, and emerging tech. That turns the case. Populism makes regulatory governance impossible. Authoritarian governments use AI for state surveillance instead of democratic innovation, which makes accessing AI upsides and downsides impossible. Towards inequality advantage too, since the AFF causes a short-term surge in automation that increases depends on AI at the expense of humans, which spurs discontent that is determined to that impact and turns the rest of the regional government scenario because the plan's first mass public backlash in second companies was friends socialization. Yes, populism impact as explained above. For defenses, not assume the magnitude of the link. It's about the pandemic, which does not directly contribute to populism in the same way that unemployment does, which means its resiliency. It's a question that uniqueness made below. No automation now. Link controls uniqueness. Companies are accountable to their employees, and shareholder layoffs are extremely popular. Views undermine business value and generally the last resort option. Despite limited attempts now, the plan breaks the firewall, undermines the lack of buy-in against last corporate leadership by making it the de facto standard to automate entire industries. Think about what the AFF means. Sector-specific regulations is simply code for how easy it is to displace labor in this particular industry. That is what the whole functionalist criteria of the app is about. How efficiently can AI displace labor for instead of an evidence with the 200 hours that produces a barrier to automation now. The plan undermines the majority of business leaders oppose automation and tech integration, but COVID was a small scale trend in their evidence in 2020. 20 years later, we are peak employment and a tight labor market throughout the economy, so that does not apply. The turn one does not assume the link. Even automation is slow in its growth enhancing effects now. The plan enables it on a far larger scale, which causes substitution rather than augmentation. Labor too, theoretically right. Automation does not displace a large number of jobs. The public will perceive it as such, which causes widespread support for populists, which was the only thing to win the perception like that Skiska 3 times reinstatement of jobs following automation occurs on a far larger time scale than being displaced, which means that any gains from automation will be realized only after populists have taken power in the short term. That's Abbott for inequality and limits any productivity gains, because even if the economy is more productive, all the wealth flows to capital, which means that new tasks free by automation do not ultimately result in new jobs for workers, which are primary insight solution consensus finds even faster growth causes more income and wage inequality. The plan, however, enables mass automation. They drop the thesis of link regardless of whether the plan is functional. Our point is, regardless of that content, the companies will deploy it in public campaigns to cause mass automation. So the exact scope is relevant. Existing automation is not true. That because it's only a fraction of the workforce. And the Gallagher evidence says tech flashes for larger liability spillovers. There are two pieces of evidence to say lower insurance costs enable mass automation, and they also dropped your dehumanization link that says that even if people have jobs, they'll get dehumanized to the point that for populace. No social license link was not responsive to our link. Is that even if AI has rights, companies will weaponize it to displace human jobs, so stopping AI becoming a threat is irrelevant. Gene editing rights are not neville. The frame here is our evidence is conclusive. Google cites experts with no chance of rights for the next 50 years, which means that even if theoretically possible, it's so far off it's not worth considering. When our SWAT is not going to be conclusive, such rights could be granted, but they won our gun goals. It's extremely unlikely because AI is nowhere near sophisticated enough now. Consensus agrees on code 20. The status of AI happens whether a recognized person on one side of Europe, on the other side, rather than defeating professionals of most proposals. AI are nothing more than tools. Robots that challenge the existing status, unthinkable question of the consequences for our legal systems. The counterpart also solves this argument because it locks us into an agency law frame of how we view rights and duties. Now, the agency law counterpart solves the whole case. The app does not have a right to use keyword. They have good reasons why you need to define AI this way. Not that AI defined this way needs to receive rights and duties, treating them as agents that are always subject to human principle, enables adaptive regulation and a certain liability scheme that notes its rights and duties and appropriately all relevant human parties without naming AI as an independent entity capable of acting without a human principle, according to both obviously not solve one or links about moral status and perception of AI specific to vesting legal rights and duties and treating it as an independent entity from humans too. You can't do both; they're exclusive because the plan's precedent supersedes the counterplan's precedent. The perm would say that AI as agents have legal rights and duties, which just gets us past the link debate. Regardless, yes, Judge Chick, it's not impossible because the 2 hours source answer both the counterplan and the DHS on the thesis of conditionality. You never vote after it's worse than the status quo. Perm to the counterplan. This is the crush. The distinction they're missing is that while some forms of agency law would be topical, this counterplan is not. Some forms of agency law can have the U.S. recognize AI as having the ability to legally carry rights and duties, but those duties recognized under the counterplan are always under contract, which are distinct from those recognized by the legal system, which is why this is the variant of the interspersing counterplan. We beat your old app on. The Google evidence is that property rights are vested from clients to AI. That's the AI using an extension to human property rights, not a legal sovereign vesting rights, which is the distinction that Google is making. The bottom line of that card, the conclusion is, quote, the artificial legal personality exists only for the persons recognizing this quasi-artificial personality, so it's not a vesting of rights with the U.S. The Phil evidence. I'm not actually sure what this recutting was. It says, quote, allowing for legal responsibility without granting legal personhood rights in the card. So that does not get them anything. Osby, they just really just highlighted random words in this card. I'm not sure what they were trying to get at. The Pagalo evidence does make the distinction, however, I was getting at in cross-links between rights and duties vested by the legal system and a contingent extension of the principles will under the counterplan. The only way to be topical is have the U.S. vest sovereign rights and duties into AI. The counterplan clearly does not do that because it recognizes that AI only has a status under a principal agent law in which a contract is negotiated between human principles. No coherent deficit. They just kind of reiterate affirmative links and agents. There's no terminal impact. They're calling AI an agent. It's not flattening because the types of AI systems included near the AFF definition. The liability scheme is different. Our cards are saying that's more certain and closer to status quo liability rules, which is what liabilities care about. It's a synonymous basis for regulation for both advantages because the basis for liability is the same and apportioned synonymously across all human actors. Sandboxes counterplan. I'm quickly extending that just to solve the alignment term in the case because the one-air justice did not make any sense. The incorporating legal code solves any reason that AI socialization would be better, far more effectively because we've run cards in the case that says only integrating legal codes programmatically from the outside can solve. I did on the regulations counterplan, not going for the liability shield proper. The counterplan solves unique targets because it clarifies liability. There's no external impact why model liability is bad. There's no reason the counterplan links to it and signing to human principle destroys negligent action. That's Dukov. No cyber terror, so unmotivated and prepared to take down critical infrastructure that's well shielded by cyber defenses. Squirrels are more threatening, and Smart is not about nuclear terrorism, but also answers generic terrorism impact on the other patients. Miller is generic and says that terrorists overwhelmingly opt for conventional approaches. Instead, no innovation impact is high now. The US is across all metrics. No other country is close to a break scenario for why it's insufficient. You should generally view these laundry lists of regulations. Sorry, so skepticism. There's also no impact. More innovation is not necessarily better out of direction. The status quo is more Snapchat filters and chatbots, not disruptive innovation that puts ahead. That's code, no collapse impact. That's Walt. There's no correlation between downstream and public. Leaders moderate and turn inward instead to recuperate domestic support. It's not external from the rest of the page because they don't solve criminals maliciously deploying AI that drops truancy on the counterplan. Now, the governance page, socialization fails, not coming now. Even if the law changes, you still need to socialize AI to care about the law, which only the deliberate programming of the counterplan solves. No deterrence because AI doesn't care about death funds and regulations. They only care about what's in their training data. No inequality impact. Obviously, tech stars are not the major cause. It's really not unique given Silicon Valley VC concentration. Now, there's no correlation in public studies. Prove exhaustion factors like resources and governance matter more. That's a truancy. Most evidence and terrorism defense on the other page also applies to anything external here.
Three. How much?
332.
332. Okay. Regulation advantage. Governance advantage. Title plan. Dissent. Okay. Is everyone good? Full screen. Okay. The counterpoint is certainly a way to do the plan, but is insufficiently holistic by relegating AI to a fixed category that for all intents and purposes defines them as such, paired with a tiny dissent, even if they win 100% risk of the dissent, refuse judging because it's not the logical conditionality, because you are not, because conditionality is not a justification for why a judge should make a decision, it's a justification for why they should be able to make decisions, which is a conceded argument. The shooter has like 2.5 seconds on it. They just say, if they win, this flow is better than the plan. They win. That is not responsive to the argument that we are making because they have conceded that it is not a question that is not under your jurisdiction that should be able to make the decision of whether or not you get the counter plan. It is not a logical question. It is instead a question of flexibility and fairness, as they described it. Independently writes enable peaceful coexistence with AI, the fearing civilization from disease, pollution, nuclear war, and a range of other upsides on burning a hostile and existential singularity that causes AI to impose servitude upon all humanity. That's narrow. You know that extinction is inevitable in this flow. So because they only have solvency arguments, that means that there's only some risk that because the impact is in the context of rights. That means that the counterpoint obviously cannot solve it if they're right that it competes. And so it is try or die AF because extinction is certainly inevitable now, and it's maybe not inevitable in the world of the plan. The kind of only defense on the says that AI cannot be socialized because it relies on its training data. That is kind of the point because when it's similar says that AI once it receives penalties is able to learn off of reinforcement learning, and because even if it does not have a kind of coherent value system, that does not matter because they're able to learn from experience and learn from the imposition of penalties, which is self-division of software impact. It was Tracy and Warning are framing the drop from the block and tuner, which means you don't read into their evidence for them because the towers not do that for you. The counterpoint proper actually lies on the governance advantage, and they're not going for it. Concede defense, and then it applies to AI. broadly.
Sandbox counterpoint, they extended that point, they dropped Purdue both.
Oh, sandbox counterplan, they dropped Purdue both because obviously the plan does not include AI rollout. That was the only argument. That was the argument for showing in 1 AR. Unanswered. Counterpoint. Permanent counterpoint is a crush, but I do not think that Dartmouth understands why. The 1NC text describing AI as being able to legally modify rights and duties requires legal effect, i.e. rights to create legally relevant actions. The 2 NAR did not cite evidence, so I will do it for you. 1NC Gukov says that when the 2NC Gukov says that property rights are vested in AI, the AI as an owner would deal with third parties and describing a principal-agent relation, and whenever they are delegating property rights, and even uses fucking rubber resolution language. What more do you want from us, Peel? Thanks for reading back the site of the card that I cut because you miscited it. The pages are wrong, but whatever. It says AI is a legal agent compared to a person as a narrower scope of rights and obligations. It is incredibly conclusive. They have not cited any evidence that is anywhere close to that, and so you should defer. You should defer to us reading their evidence back at them and him dropping it. Third is Osprey. Fine, we'll give you that one. That one kind of was a bunch of random words. What are our chakra? We have read by far the best evidence on this. It says that an agency. It says the one that acts as a representative with power to affect legal rights and duties, or has an obligation of their principle. It says that fiduciary duties are legal obligations owed to principles. It means that all of this is dropped. We have phenomenal evidence that they are just not answering their. They did not beat us on the digital peculiar map, and there is fucking reason because they didn't debate us. Obviously, if they are right about rights and about rights not being a part of the counterplan, it means they can't solve the rights intrinsic impact that we are going for. And if they are not right, then it means that you go after presumption because they have because it would require the vesting of rights and duties as per their evidence that we've highlighted to or dropped, which means even 100% risk of the counterplan is insufficient. This is insufficient because it links equally as much to the counterplan. This actually also that doesn't solve the kind of drop the general tech lock-in argument, rigid definitions, i.e. of legal agents because they are a fixed single category, even if flexible in terms of what includes them. Entrenched in naps analogies of law, creating regulatory lag and allows developers to gain outdated definitions, and then they create unregulated tech for the same purpose before regulators can respond, and magnifying the risk of AI that is able to enslave humanity. That was what you see Krudoff and Casey, and the risk of a deficit is sufficient when we are crushing them on the curve. This ad, even if they want to link it, is not so overall populace and rising financial crisis, wide refugee flows, and economic inequality, results in a sharp increase in populist election outcomes, which means that if this latency threshold argument that UNR is making is right, then there is absolutely no break for it, because it's been continually increasing globally. No evidence has resulted in the ability of those populist leaders to act as an enable agenda. Global ebbs and flows and populists are probably inevitable. Cooper says they never had the support to push for civilization and conflict. All of Dartmouth's impact evidence says it results in conflict, but only we have cards that say the populist leaders can and won't make those conflicts catastrophic. They cannot wait on time frame. They can't operate on the scale of short-term links because obviously it requires years and possibly decades from the populist movement stability. Perception link is patently ridiculous and obviously thought first is COVID. It was the greatest economic upheaval in the last 15 years, causing 20 million jobs lost, the greatest proportion since the Great Depression. That means the burden for a link that the UNR is trying to spin as the app being so incredibly large is that the plan caused automation that is so vast and displaces more jobs per capita than both COVID and the Great Depression, because neither of them caused aggressive populists to rise. If FDR invited the best populist they were going to get, it seems like populists should at least try a bit harder to not be politically incompetent. Second is that all of their link evidence and either does not assume that legal personhood via functional criteria, which we have conceded kind of the link evidence about how functional criteria make rights functional, i.e. based on context and only given if they are de facto actors, and not legalistic, i.e. conceptual and broad grants that are given to a whole variety of industries, or the evidence is so highlighted so poorly that you strike it because you should not be able to read it into like a Michigan-style random nouns.
We'll submit right away.
Not production.
Yeah, it's that.
Congratulations, both teams on that excellent take. The decision is in 2 months.
I thought there was some chance of a solvency deficit, some chance the counterclaim linked to the net benefit. I was not interested in firmly the counterclaim. So I'll explain how I got there. I thought the case that AFF could definitely solve the regulation advantage, and that rights-based regulation is really key to neutralize dangerous AI, and otherwise things like AI cyber terror would cause extinction, totally dominate, enslave humanity, and the need to safeguard some of AI rights and also regulate them is enough to stop the downsides of AI. Definitely the app solves the advantage. The automation DA, it seemed to me like the NEG was very ahead on no automation now, then increases automation, had a lot more evidence. The app was a little more ahead on the impact to the DA, somewhat inevitable, and that COVID should have set it into motion, which mitigates the DA, but DA still seems very high risk. So where I had problems was the counter plan. I wasn't sure if the counter plan could solve the regulation advantage if it doesn't assign rights or duties to AI. It seemed like the counter plan could solve the reasons why AI innovation is deterred now, because it would address liability issues, create certainty, and ability to stabilize expectations, which could mean good AI is built that would be beneficial to humans. But the failure to give the rights and duties would be a problem for having ways to safeguard against the dangers of AI. I thought about the value alignment stuff. I think that plank that was extended on the other counter plan could create that, so the combination of counter plans might solve part of that, but I thought the AFF's echoes evidence seems to say if an AI committed a crime like cyber terror, then if AI was given rights and duties, it could be punished, but under the counter plan, it would go unpunished. And also this 1AR Turner evidence says rights are important to deter AI from crimes. So there's some chance for me the counter plan isn't able to neutralize the really dangerous AI. I thought about firm to the counter plan. I don't understand any of the 1AR re-highlightings and why that helps you. I similarly thought the 1AR evidence, the chakra evidence, don't understand why that helps prove the app is a possible way the counter plan could be done. I felt I more understood the differences between the counter plan and the plan. So I think if you want to go for firm to the counter plan, I need to understand better. Does the counter plan link to the DA was also a problem I had. If the counter plan eventually results in giving some rights, duties, and legal personality, like the 2NC Cudcock evidence, but less than the plan because it is tethered to a human, it does seem like the counter plan still links to the DA, although it probably links less. And why doesn't giving force to rights and duties possessed by others in a way that also would solve massively expanding AI innovation and automation in all sectors of the economy also link to the DA, or just make the DA inevitable? Could I consider just judge picking the counter plan and voting on the DA alone? I think both sides say I should or shouldn't do this in very little time, but for me the app says more I just shouldn't do this. I think if I did pick the counter plan, I might vote egg on the DA alone because I would evaluate some of the case differently and might just conclude the DA impact outweighs and turns the case. But there were two other people part of this decision, so feel free to share your thoughts.
Okay, I'm happy to go next. I agree with 95% of what was just said, honestly. I guess the places I differed was I think the risk of counterplan solvency was probably a lot higher than that we did for a couple reasons. One is just I think the app is really banking way too heavily on the purview of the counterplan debate, where I typed up all my comments about why I think that goes neg. It seems like all three of us are probably going to assume that goes neg, so I won't get into all the nitty gritty of that portion now. I think theoretically, I feel like you could be ahead that the counterplan may not solve the right specific portion. I think the 2AR is lacking warrants specifically about why rights are key, and I think the 2NR has some arguments for why the regulations that lead to a similar liability scheme that at least somewhat hedges back against it. I think a much bigger 2AR pivot that is just like, LOL, this counterplan does not solve this portion of the app that I'm going to do a massive job explaining right here. I'm probably voting app. I don't get a lot of that work, and then I'm left looking at just like a counterplan that, and I think you're getting some risk of a solvency deficit there at the point where I think they're winning that they're slightly different schemes here. So there may be some risk, but then I'm looking at whether or not the risk of solvency on the counterplan outweighs the VA, and that's where it becomes a little trickier. For me, one, I think I don't know how big of a risk the app impact is. I think it's something that you could do a lot more framing on here if you're going to go for kind of the solvency deficit route. I think you kind of just have a single laundry list card that you're kind of pulling from. I think about specific scenarios like AGI, inevitable AI type stuff, which I'm just like, if the counterplan leads to some similar liabilities, keeping some capacity, maybe that's sufficient to hedge back enough. I agree that I think you do have some decent impact mitigation on the DA. It's not quite enough for me because I think they're ahead on the other portions. I guess another place where I differ from Becca's decision was I think that the the COVID stuff was not as big a factor in my decision. I think they do have some pretty clear 2&R link and judge construction framing on it. It's just like there's a distinction between like the kind of job loss from this one catastrophe that had some sort of immediate effects and permanent ingrained AI workers and stuff that causes backlash and fear from rural communities. And I think the waste and benefit stuff may or may not be true. That was very vague to me in the 2AR for me to just be like, counterplan links, counterplan links to net benefit, risk of that way. So I would have been hard pressed to do that. I think if you sit on, links to net benefit, solvency deficit, more specific scenario, I'm pretty easily voting at, because I don't think the negative is doing the best job, particularly explaining like what the liability scheme would be in context of, they don't walk me through how it solves this specific scenario of the app whatsoever. So it's a little bit tough. I also don't think they're just doing the best job. Like, rights are key, here's why, here's what my evidence says, blah, 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 and pointing it out. So those are my general thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was a phenomenal debate. I kicked the counter plan and then I thought the DA outweighed. I started with the DA. I think it's very big. I think uniqueness is pretty net. I think that both in how the 2NR frames populism and automation are kind of just like a step above what the 2AR gets to. So first is like this argument that app evidence about COVID logically dumping, that's coming from 20. Just during peak unemployment, but the NEG evidence accounts for that. And then it says the pandemic actually caused a dip in popularity for populist leaders. And then I thought the NEG cards just, and debating generally, were better at drawing specific lines between the status quo, the effect of automation, and even perceptually, the rise in populism. Whereas AFF cards and debating, I thought, were more scattered and logical arguments that definitely would hold up had the NEG not had quality evidence on each issue. And then the rest of AFF uniqueness, I thought, was either more speculative about the effects of unemployment and automation, like this these NADE cards, or I just thought weren't fully complete. And then importantly, I think the link is really big. Like the 2AR sort of gestures to defense, but doesn't really get here. And then there's this like highlighted 2NR argument that corporations will strategically use the plan as cover. And that's not really ever answered. And so even if it's limited, that could be the justification to weaponize it. And then there are a couple other like framing things that kind of slip through the 2AR. It's just like, first, even if it's short run, the employment cuts from automation have lasting and generational effects. And then second is this dehumanization link, which is dropped and not the best, but here we are. The impact is also pretty big. I think the 2AR is like the right outline of an answer about populism ebbing and flowing, but it's not deep enough. The 2NR says that blatant populist leaders are likely to start wars and that populism heightens every other existential risk. And like going in, I was kind of thinking it's stupid for a debate this high level and technical to even somewhat be decided by impact calc, but it did feel noticeably absent in the 2AR. And the 2AR is like definitely quick on the advantage, which is understandable, obviously, given how much it covers. Like there is this turns case argument that sort of eclipses the 2AR about not being able to govern AI. But the 2AR, like on the advantage, you don't really do yourself a lot of favors in explaining your impact. And I understand that. I think it's because you're excited to talk about the counterplan, and you might be correct about it linking. I didn't think about it because I thought the DA was big enough after, but without like getting into these, like you said, good on the counterplan. Yeah, for me, like the 2AR on the case is sort of like AI existence will be hostile and they'll put humans in servitude, and then like it sort of stops there. And so 2NR like referencing arguments about difficulty to socialize was ultimately enough for me. But again, like really, really incredible tool.
Do you think that like the just kind of general like app explanation made sense or like was pretty clear? That was like a problem we were thinking about beforehand of like, can we convey this effective, like what's going on effectively? Or like just kind of general like solvency and mechanism stuff?
I thought you were doing great with processing.
That made a lot of sense. That answered most of the questions that I had.
I guess one question for you, Becca, was just, you said you didn't understand, or you understood more of the differences between the counterplan and the plan, that's why you ended up carrying more AFF in the deficit. I was wondering like what the specific, like either rights or duties key warrant that you ended up, but I get like the counterplan maybe wasn't contextualized to the AFF scenario, but what was like the specific rights or duties key warrant that you viewed as the critical difference between the plan and the counterplan that made the difference for the deficit?
The Zekos and Turner evidence, and one is like if an AI committed a crime, like say this AI cyber terror attack, if the AI itself was given, if AIs were given rights and duties, it could be punished. But I did not understand how under the counter plan, if the AI doesn't have the rights and duties and instead the human does, then why would the crime still go punished or whatever? And if the AIs are not deterred, or if the AI doesn't have rights or duties, then it allegedly doesn't have skin in the game, is one of the pieces of Turner evidence arguments. So I think just like responding more directly to
like each of
those
those warrants.
pieces of evidence would help. Or it sounds like at least for me and Ruby, a different choice would have been you could kick the counter plan and then you could just go for the DA. Because as I mentioned, if I had decided to kick the counter plan, my decision follows the same way that she went for the DA, would just outweigh and turn the case.
Okay, makes sense.
Thank you for
Thank you.
the debate. Thank you. Yeah, good debate. Good luck.
Nice.
Wait,
You don't want to.
I'm not making that up. Never mind. I mean, apparently they're just coming out. Oh, you mean they read them?
Yeah.
I should know that. Falling fast here. Ruby, do you know this one? Are they reading up the whole turn?
Whatever series.
Right.
There's a strike card for doubles, right? Good go.
Sure. Is it locked? Oh, it, someone left through. Yeah. Oh, just like you. Or you can take it.
Rosen's dead.
Oh, is it dead?
Take it out.
We'll take it. I'm sure we screwed that low. If there was something.
Yeah, that's 100%.